Attention, warriors of the ring and knockout enthusiasts. Get ready to dive into the story of one of the most feared and spectacular boxers of our time. A man who doesn't just throw punches, he fires bullets with both hands. A true Mexican Terminator who never lets his opponents hide. We're talking about David Benavidez, the Mexican Monster, a nickname that, believe me, fits him like a glove. Today, we'll reveal why none other than Mike Tyson gave him that nickname, and why nobody wants to step into the ring with him. Ready to witness a display of raw power and unstoppable combinations? Watch it with us. Born in Phoenix, Arizona in the mid-90s, David Benavidez wasn't your typical prodigy. Imagine this. At just 13 years old, he already weighed over 220 pounds. Yes, a true heavyweight in the making. But despite his size, he surprised everyone with unusual speed for his build. By the time he turned 15, that chubby kid had grown taller and was already embarrassing far more experienced fighters, even former middleweight world champion Kelly Pavlik during sparring sessions. With a flawless amateur record of 15 wins and 0 losses, his father and now trainer, Jose Benavidez Sr., realized that fighting for free no longer made sense. So he bought his son a ticket to Mexico, where David could monetize his knockout skills before turning 18, something US regulations didn't allow. This experience in Mexico, facing tougher and rougher opponents, forged David's battering ram style, a style built on combinations that break through an opponent's guard like butter. In April 2015, at just 18 years old, Benavidez returned to the US, and his first professional victim was Ricardo Campillo. Ricardo became a human punching bag until the end of the round. But those punches took their toll. As soon as the bell rang, Campillo collapsed. Benavidez was already showing dominance, and the promise of a new star was in the air.
Fight only once. That's common in Mexico. In Mexico.
And a right hand, Campillo in trouble already. An accidental head clash. It was ruled no contest.
But he needs to tuck that chin because
Downing
uses experience to show up the young blood. But you know, he just doesn't have it. Straight punches. But you got to bring your hands in. His hands are so wide. Anything Benavidez throws is going to catch it. There it is.
Down he goes.
His next victim, the unorthodox Kevin Cobbs, with 10 wins and 1 loss, posed an early challenge. Cobbs, nicknamed the Vermont Bully and known for his jab, tried to impose his style. But Benavidez, at just 19 years old, showed he had a powerful jab of his own and solid defense. David unveiled a new facet of his game, the hand trap, a clever technique used to disable the opponent's guard and open the door to punishment. In just 2 rounds, the execution was so clean the referee had to stop the fight. Impressive. At just 19, David was already creating openings better than many veteran champions.
Find out that he's full of talent, and that's right, he did say that. They call him the Vermont Bully, but he trains in Boston. Not many videos out on him, not much.
You look at Benavidez, there's a right to the body, double left.
Beautiful body. He's been landing it solid. It's going to take effect as the fight wears.
He's got a tough opponent in front of him, you know, a decent record, so you got to be very careful.
Double left, down rocks, comes to the ropes. What survival mode now for Kevin Cobbs.
Yeah, take a knee
Right to the body.
So the ref's going to stop that as soon as there it is.
Then came the heavy hitter Philip Jackson, 16 wins, 15 by KO. Benavidez didn't let him breathe. He cornered him, punished him mercilessly, mixing vicious body shots with devastating uppercuts to the head. In the second round, 2 left hooks hurt Jackson and triggered Benavidez's hunter mode. Focusing on the chin and using his long arms like levers, David forced yet another early stoppage.
Right hand by Benavidez. Now he digs to the body. Great 4-punch combination. Backs up Jackson. That may have hurt him. Jackson rolling on the rope.
Knows how to use those long arms.
One to the body. Here's the uppercut kid. He's still a kid. He's 19. That left hook hurt Jackson. Right hand. Combination punching. Jackson hurt on the ropes. Benavidez bending down. Takes another right hand left hook. This one is...
The first significant resistance for the young phenom came from Dennis Mama's Boy, Douglin, trained by his own mother. Douglin, a compact and quick southpaw, took advantage of Benavidez's uncharacteristic passivity in the early rounds, landing effective body shots. However, in the final seconds of the second round, the tide turned. Benavidez let his hands go on the inside and began impaling Douglin with uppercuts, showing who really ruled the ring. The pressure was so intense that the ropes gave way, nearly causing Douglin to fall out of the ring. By the 9th round, Mama's boy finally broke. 3 palm-up uppercuts landed cleanly, and Douglin hit the canvas for the first time in his career.
Benavidez, again, I thought that he'd be too big, too strong to disqualify.
Oh, the ropes just came loose.
Never been past 7 rounds. Douglin,
Oh, knockdown
there it is.
score.
A little bit. Not getting too close if you're Benavidez. And that means right here, moving the feet up and doing that.
With a furious combination, Benavidez ended the fight, much to the dismay of Douglin's mother. At just 19 years old, Benavidez was already paving his way toward a title shot. The last obstacle on the road to gold was Rogelio "Porky" Medina, a slugger with twice as many knockouts as the total number of fights David had. A true fight-ending machine. Blink during one of his matches, and you might miss it. From the first round, the aggression was palpable. Medina pushed the undefeated Benavidez against the ropes, a place no one wanted to see David. But Benavidez kept his composure, dodging and blocking flurries with his monolithic guard. Then he countered swiftly to the body. This was a clash of titans, and both fighters knew it. By the 3rd round, David adjusted his strategy, focusing on his powerful jab. In the 4th, Medina, known for always coming forward, started to look static. Benavidez unleashed a vicious flurry, leaving him seriously hurt. But Medina's Mexican chin saved him, absorbing even a point-blank uppercut. It was incredible to watch. At one point, Benavidez began to tire from the sheer number of punches he was throwing and landing, but the accumulated damage on Medina was undeniable.
In some trouble, and an uppercut, and Medina, how is he still standing? He has taken a ton of... He was not erratic, and now uppercuts, followed by Benavidez with his back on the ropes. Oh my goodness, 7-punch combination. This is so much in this 20-year-old. Back against the ropes, he is throwing. This is a heavy onslaught by David Benavidez, pouring it on Rogelio Medina. A big right hand. John Triz is trying to make a statement and finish off Rogelio Medina. Will the Medina pen? Where the right back is going? It's a knockdown. Medina knockout.
David maintained outstanding precision and defensive awareness, even in the midst of chaos. By the 8th round, Medina was on the brink, staggering and taking a brutal beating. Finally, in a classic high noon shootout, Benavidez had to empty the entire clip to put down his nemesis.
Rogelio Medina, and a body shot there as Medina, but he has a puncher's chance, and that is that bravado. Left hook to the body, and now David Benavidez comes upstairs and is trying to bring it into the night.
With a record of 18 wins and 0 losses with 17 KOs, the 20-year-old gunslinger jumped straight into world title contention. In 2017, the super middleweight division, 168 pounds, was heating up. Canelo Alvarez was preparing for Golovkin in a lower division, Andre Ward was battling Kovalev at light heavyweight, and Arthur Abraham was nearing retirement. Champions Badu Jack and James DeGale had fought to a draw in a unification bout, leaving the WBC belt vacant. In September 2017, Benavidez, the tall Latino from Phoenix, stood out among the contenders. He faced 31-year-old Romanian Ronald Gavril. While not a household name, Gavril had a solid amateur background and had successfully adapted to the pro style. In the first half of the fight, Gavril managed to avoid the Mexican's pressure, but David kept intercepting him with precise punches and increased his volume as the rounds progressed. Then, he brought out his signature tools, breaking through Gavril's guard and skillfully weaving uppercuts into his machine gun flurries. However, in the final minute, Gavril spoiled Benavidez's dominant finish by landing a jab that caught David by surprise and sent him to the canvas. An unexpected knockdown.
I think he's changed a little, but I think really the combination he puts him well to 20 years old. He's got a lot of combination from Benavidez. So he's standing there too long. And again, Benavidez doing it at the same time. Combination from Benavidez.
Yeah, I guess I have to phrase it that way.
While it didn't change the outcome, Benavidez won by split decision. 116 to 111, 117 to 111, 111 to 116. It left a bitter taste for the youngest champion in the history of the division. The monster didn't hesitate to offer a rematch. This time, David took the preparation more seriously. He built momentum behind his jab, and once it was established, the Mexican added powerful punches to the mix. Benavidez focused on sharp uppercuts, turning the ring into his own personal shooting range. To the body, he was hurting Gavril with punishing shots, keeping a steady pace for the full 36 minutes. Gavril, brave but battered, took a brutal beating. Benavidez's 20th career victory came at the cost of broken knuckles, a testament to the ferocity of his attack.
Benavidez is only 21, Gavril is 31, so he is, despite the fact it looks like Benavidez. Again, usually when he doubles, he throws the right hand behind it like he did that time. You see, Mauricio Suleiman is here to see this kid Benavidez. Perfect temperature for the fight. Big right now is negated by the hard punches that Benavidez lands.
But after walking successfully through fire in the ring, the young king began to stumble outside of it. In May 2018, David became entangled in a scandal involving his promoters, and shortly after, a different kind of cloud loomed over Benavidez. He tested positive for cocaine during a doping test, a devastating blow. David was stripped of his title, which was later claimed by veteran Anthony Dirrell. "I won't make stupid decisions like that again," David stated. "It wasn't just bad for me, it was bad for my family, all the negative publicity we got." To make matters worse, in October of that same year, his older brother, Jose Benavidez Jr., also a professional boxer, was dismantled by Terrence Crawford, adding more fuel to the family fire. David spent a year recovering and declared himself ready for air birth in 2019. A playful pre-fight dispute with Julian Love almost turned physical, but in the ring, the former connoisseur of Colombian goods, a tongue-in-cheek nod, showed tactical flexibility. First, he lured Love into a trap with a massive left hook that Love never saw coming and then punished him in his usual style. Benavidez made sure Love took 2 juicy crosses and practically begged for the referee's intervention. Even Floyd Mayweather Sr., Love's trainer, looked disappointed in his fighter.
Benavidez is really cool right now. He's just tracking Julian Love, and he's hurting him with a right hand, another right hand.
It's okay for him to take his time because he's still in front. Benavidez has long arms and he's catching him on the way in and out.
Got to be moving. He's got to use his legs.
Oh, big right by Benavidez.
That's it.
But it's not over yet. Before we continue, take a moment to like the video if you're enjoying it and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new content. As the broadcast showed the 4 active champions of the division, the next logical opponent was the usurper of the Mexican throne, Anthony Dirrell. The dog, a 34-year-old ruler with a pit bull's grip, had a devastating counter right hand and regularly tore through his opponents. Benavidez steadily softened up the champion with punishing combinations. David's jab caused a nasty cut on Dirrell, which only worsened with time. Dirrell had a brief second wind, showing flashes of stellar defense, but the adrenaline quickly drained under the relentless pressure of the challenger. By the 9th round, Benavidez was drowning the champion. Thankfully, Dirrell's corner stepped in to save him from a complete beatdown. David regained the gold he had lost due to his own stupidity and earned the respect of the former champion.
Win back the belt. Flurry of punches from Benavidez.
Toll on Anthony Dirrell. He's hanging on a thread just right now, just getting battered by David Benavidez.
Oh, it's a nice counter hook by Dirrell. 2 of them. Yeah, but he's only counting with 1 punch.
It was then that Mike Tyson dubbed Benavidez the Mexican Monster, and the only modern boxer he would be afraid to face. The nickname stuck. However, David didn't get the chance to enjoy his champion status. The sudden lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic led to a rise in body fat percentages among many fighters, who were literally deprived of space to move. The Arizona native suffered as well, missing weight before his first title defense, and once again, he was stripped of his belts. Still, the fight against powerful Colombian roamer Alexis Angulo went ahead. Benavidez took his time, as usual, letting his opponent wear himself out. Then, he found an opening for a devastating right hand that nearly knocked Angulo out in the 3rd round.
More shy than usual because of the fact that he realizes he had body by Benavidez. Benavidez really starting to open up, and that could be troublesome for Alexis Angulo.
Undeterred by a non-called knockdown from the referee, David turned up the pace. He dismantled every counter with the poise of someone who had been doing this since childhood, loading up his power shots with a thunderous uppercut. The absence of a live crowd due to the pandemic allowed viewers to fully hear and feel the suffering of those who stood in front of the Mexican pressure machine. After 30 minutes of one-sided punishment, Angulo's corner finally grew concerned for their fighter's health. It was a dominant performance, with David remaining largely untouched and maintaining a relentless, avalanche-like pace with his combinations. At 23 years old, Benavidez delivered the best performance of his career. With the loss of his title on the scales, David gained something far more important. In November 2020, his partner Karina Silva gave birth to their first child. The young father took a break and focused on perfecting his craft. Though sometimes appearing stiff, Benavidez made notable improvements in his defensive skills, allowing him to refine his signature front foot style built on unrelenting pressure. He forced opponents into exchanges, intercepting their offense instantly. He consistently created wars of attrition, and as rounds went on, David only increased the torque and variety of his punches. His overwhelmed opponents inevitably turned into sitting ducks, allowing the monster to break through their guard with a crushing right hook, a sharp cross, and a wild uppercut. He maintained incredible hand speed even in the championship rounds. Benavidez fought twice in 2021, and in both cases, the accumulated damage alone forced the referee to step in, even without a knockdown. By 2022, the division had an undisputed world champion holding all the major belts, Canelo Alvarez. But he was in no hurry to face the rising star, and for some reason, he lashed out at Jose Benavidez Sr. "I hear his dad talking a lot of Look, he hasn't done anything," said Canelo. While Alvarez kept the division on hold, the WBC introduced an interim title. The monster was matched with David Lemieux, the 33-year-old Canadian who, since his loss to Golovkin 7 years earlier, had built a formidable physique and a vicious left hook that regularly knocked people out. In front of his hometown crowd in Arizona, the Mexican sheriff kept the short-arm gringo at bay. Benavidez cornered Lemieux with body jabs, and after catching him on the way in, unleashed a series of border justice combinations. The bell interrupted the onslaught in the second round. Lemieux, blocking punches with his face, refused to go down, nearly hitting the canvas in the first round. Only in the third did the referee step in to save him. Having reclaimed a belt for the third time, Benavidez was now ready for the big names.
Without a doubt. A left hook, down goes! Oh, he's almost down! Lemieux in trouble! Can he finish off Lemieux? Benavidez are going to close the show! Lemieux in trouble! Harvey Dog watching the action! Right, shaking up Lemieux! Back comes Lemieux! All right, and down goes Lemieux! Back Lemieux, and Lemieux's hurt again! And look at this hand speed! But back comes Lemieux, big right, and now the corner's coming up, and this one is over! It's David Benavidez!
"I'm waiting for them to send the contract," Benavidez shouted, ready for Canelo. As the superstar matured, a longtime bitter rival of the Benavidez family appeared on the horizon, former IBF world champion Caleb Plant. For years, Plant had irritated David just by existing. "I'm going to beat the sets out of him. Mark my words. I'm putting this motherfetcher in the hospital," Benavidez promised. The annoying counterpuncher not only boasted a TV star wife, but also a pesky jab, slick trunk movement, and a hellish left hook, the same one he had used to knock out Dirrell in the past. Plant provoked Benavidez at the weigh-in, and then in the ring with his footwork and impressive flexibility, exposing the monster's well-known stiffness. David, being the more active fighter, launched himself headfirst into exchanges, although he occasionally swung at air against such a mobile Plant. But David managed to get his left hand working. At the halfway point, Benavidez shifted the momentum in his favor with relentless combinations. In the 8th round, David rocked a fatigued opponent with a cross and broke his spirit with body shots. Plant sought refuge in clinches, allowing Benavidez to impose his beloved A-game. The monster delivered a masterclass in the final rounds. Only Plant's championship resolve got him to the final bell.
That's the relentless pressure from Benavidez. He goes to the body with the right element that exactly what a lot of us thought he was going to do.
Because even Planet, as he happened. He catches left uppercut lands. The heart.
We do know what you mean.
Once again, David showed that patience and pressure can beat the elusive fighter in a race. Benavidez turned the fight around and praised his rival. "We fought like warriors in the ring, and this guy is a hell of a boxer. I've got a lot of respect for Canelo Alvarez, but he needs to give me that opportunity now. That's what everyone wants to see." Still, the Golden Goose Alvarez chose a challenger 2 weight classes below for his next defense, sending a clear message to the monster. Meanwhile, Benavidez gave a chance to undefeated Demetrius "Boo Boo" Andrade, a 3-division world champion with 32 wins and no losses, and just as much of an outcast in boxing as David himself. The fight started as expected. While David, as usual, sleepwalked through the first 2 rounds, the agile southpaw Andrade bombarded the body and burst in with flurries. By the end of round 3, Benavidez woke up, knocked on Andrade's basement, and sent a stick of dynamite upward, a heavy right hand that rattled Andrade with a single shot. David found a home for his uppercuts and began the demolition process. Andrade made one final valiant push, but then the damage piled on again. By the midpoint of the Benavidez show, Andrade's head was visibly shaking, a sign of surrender. Tyson, watching ringside, looked pleased, celebrating with Benavidez.
It's starting to be showcased. Big overhand right. What an uppercut. Look at this work rate by David. Continues to try to remain in the fight. And Andrade getting hammered is on the left bicep of Benavidez as Andrade fights on. But Benavidez, the younger, fresh.
Realizing that a fight with Canelo was a lost cause, David made the radical decision to move up to light heavyweight, 178 pounds, where a deafening void had formed behind the 2 kings, Bivol and Beterbiev. The monster was introduced to the new division in June 2024 by former WBC champion Oleksandr Gvozdyk. The technical Ukrainian fired in bursts, keeping his distance and using a sticky jab. Unusually skipping his typical warm-up phase, Benavidez went straight to Gvozdyk's body, drilling his opponent with pure boxing fundamentals. Though Benavidez threw far fewer combinations than in his previous weight class, sacrificing flash for efficiency, his hooks and straight shots proved far more effective. After clearly taking 8 rounds, however, the monster no longer looked threatening as Gvozdyk began to connect more consistently. Benavidez's own body shots began to drain him, and for the first time in years, he reached the final bell visibly fatigued.
Body of right hand. Oh! The blitzing combinations of Benavidez.
Don't walk straight back because
what a
opportunity here. And it looked
nice.
Benavidez walking forward.
To the body by Benavidez. But again, the counter.
Despite a well-earned win over a battle-tested veteran, his light heavyweight debut raised some questions. Benavidez expressed his desire to face the winner of Bivol versus Beterbiev. But with the clash of those 2 alpha dogs delayed once again, Benavidez faced another rising contender in February 2025, Cuban prodigy David Morrell Jr. With just 11 professional fights, Morrell had already claimed the WBA belt in his 3rd outing and defended it successfully for 4 years. A former amateur world champion, he combined Caribbean smoothness with explosive power. The fighters went through the usual pre-fight hype routine, but once inside the ring, they engaged in a defensive chess match. Benavidez was the first to find a gap in Morrell's guard with a swinging right hand. The Cuban responded with sharp single shots, but Benavidez once again showed his trademark ability to adapt mid-fight.
Benavidez already took a couple of left hands, but
Benavidez, the light heavyweight division throughout history, has now Benavidez on the ropes when again you don't want to be, and there's a nice counter left hook upstairs by.
The story of David Benavidez is one of raw talent, unshakable resilience, and an unyielding quest for greatness. He's stumbled, but he's always risen stronger. Will he finally get that dream fight against Canelo? Will he conquer the top of the light heavyweight division? The Mexican monster continues to evolve, and we'll be here to tell the story. Let us know in the comments. What's your favorite David Benavidez moment? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any of these boxing stories. Thanks for watching.